Hi everyone. Good evening, first of all, and also thank you for choosing this session to attend. I think by now you might be having so much of learnings and a lot of data. Hopefully, this session you will be leaving with some key takeaways and also a working demo that I'm planning to demonstrate, right? So thanks again. This session is about a modern web-based management console, OpenEdge Command Center, that we have introduced. And the latest version that's available today is OpenEdge Command Center 1.3. My name is Srinivasarao Kommineny. I'm part of OpenEdge product management team, working as a principal product manager. I have been in progress around nearly 5 years. I'll be completing my 5 years this month. And it's great to be here to get some feedback from you and also working with you. During my tenure, I have been instrumental in OpenEdge management related initiatives, OpenEdge Command Center, and also Open Telemetry initiative, and ideation management. You might be knowing those who were active in the community, posting ideas or maybe upvoting ideas, right? Providing your business context and all. May I know how many of you are active in ideation portal? Thank you. Okay, so this is the agenda today. So OpenEdge management needs from the market perspective, what we evaluated. OpenEdge application deployment management strategy and OpenEdge Command Center vision and the key problems that we tried solving in the initial version that we released, and a demo, right? Focus is more on demo, and beyond 1.3, what are our plans and some of the resources. So if you look at Sarah as a system administrator, right? So like what she needs is like simplified OpenEdge management and application monitoring solution, right? So since last couple of years that we rolled out the survey, and you have been very helpful in telling us the requirements that you have. There were comments related to, like I think the PASOE and also database has several utilities, right? And some of our customers wants like more user interface than the, like for all the common activities, right? So not the heavier command line utilities to manage. And lack of some actionable insights today in the monitoring that Progress offers in the solutions that we provide to you. And also for database management, like when you compare, like some of you are comparing with Microsoft's SQL Server Management Studio, right? So, and the REST API, today I think whoever is using OpenEdge Explorer or also OpenEdge Management, OEM, the REST API is not following any standards, right? And there were comments about Open API standards to be supported from the OECC API, right? So OpenEdge application deployment management strategy. So this toolbox actually represents various tools since last maybe 25 plus years. And we have 40 plus years of legendary history that we have. And there are various tools, right? So the PASOE contains various command line utilities that you use and baked into your like CI/CD tooling that you use. And even from database perspective, similarly, we have ADE tools, right? ADE tools, data dictionary and data administration tools. And also you have some of the the REST APIs that you use for monitoring. And from PASOE perspective, even JMX interface that you have, and VSTs that you query, right, from database to know the status of what's happening within the database. So we would like to consolidate all of these into the strategy with respect to Number one is OpenEdge Command Center. The Command Center focuses on the configuration management of PASOE and database, and disaster recovery setups, and also security for your application that you deploy in PASOE, and also initiate upgrades and also automate the upgrades of OpenEdge, right? So these are the very, I think, core basic tasks that progress from the progress side we could focus on and then deliver a solution to you. And the next one is Open Telemetry Initiative. And Open Telemetry Initiative, this is again to solve from the platform. We want to expose a standard-based metrics, traces, and logs for you so that you could actually pass them to managers of managers, called as application performance monitoring tools, right? So we found that several of you are using different enterprise monitoring tools, right? So some of you said like you are using New Relic, you are using maybe like Elastic, the open source tools like Prometheus that you are using, and also some of the enterprise monitoring tools related to New Relic, Instana, Dynatrace, these kind of tools, right? So there is no way that we could support you all of these tools, right? Other than offering a standard-based metrics, traces, and logs from the platform. In OpenEdge 12.8 release, we supported both metrics and also traces, the distributed traces from the platform, so that you could get more insights into the OpenEdge application, and also not just OpenEdge application, it's beyond that as well, the enterprise application that you have. And this third cog indicates DevOps enablement, wherein like we invest in the containers for you, for your DevOps story, and also the OEDF, OpenEdge DevOps framework. And some of these initiatives are going to work coherently, and these three cogs would help you to smoothly deal with the DevOps for your applications. Coming to the Command Center vision, right? So offer substantial productivity gains for day-to-day administration and management of OpenEdge platform. The persona that we targeted is system admin or an application administrator, and also database administrator. And the solution that we designed and right now available for you is a cutting-edge, cloud-ready, modern web-based console for managing PASOE and database. It's OECC. I would like to talk about some of the problems that we solved, right, in the initial releases that we delivered to you. Those who are familiar with OpenEdge Explorer and also OEM, may I know like how many of you are using OpenEdge Management or OEE? Okay, there are around 4 to 5 handful of customers, right? So look and feel of current OEE solution is outdated. We know that, and since last 4 years, we haven't been investing in OpenEdge Explorer right, further because the technology and underlying stack is a bit outdated. So from increased focus on security from an enterprise perspective, we wanted to have a modern technology powering the solution. This has been addressed. And the remote admin server, I know like I think when we deliver 12.2 and also when we deliver any major release from OpenEdge, you got to deal with 4 ports that you need to get access, right? I think the IT operations team in a bigger organizations having trouble, like they need to raise requests to get the ports open and all. So requiring 4 ports for admin server. Admin server is equivalent to an agent, right? An agent that exists on remote PASOE and also database systems for managing and monitoring the servers. So this problem has been solved. And as I mentioned, like OpenAPI, so if you're familiar with this URL to access the OEM API, the API doesn't give any like Swagger UI kind of or like OpenAPI standards API for you. this has been solved. And the last one is I think the way that the information architecture presented from the current OpenEdge Explorer, if you look at, it's not intuitive. You can't be able to drill down and look at how quickly you can identify a resource is for 12.8 resource or 12.2 resource that you are managing, right? It will take like 2-3 levels of navigation required. So some of these information architecture problems also solved. So this shows the architectural diagram of OpenEdge Command Center, the deployment phase. This whole box indicates the OpenEdge Command Center server. You have MongoDB sitting here, and on the right-hand side, if you have typical servers where you have PASOE and also database running, you need only one agent that is deployed, and that agent could take care of 12.2 and later releases, right? Managing those. So we need only one agent, and that agent is lightweight, which is a Spring Boot application. It's a Java process. So it could take care of managing 12.2 and later releases. So we don't support 11.7 purposefully because it's nearing its retirement, right? So on the top, if you look at on the top, you have Command Center console, which is a web-based UI, and you have REST-based client for accessing the APIs. So the web UI is the Kendo React UI that's implemented, that supports all modern browsers. The server is a Node.js application that we have. We support both Windows and Linux platforms. So the 12.8 today supports Windows and Linux 64-bit platforms. And the database here is a MongoDB. And MongoDB is used as a backend configuration database for OpenEdge Command Center, right? So you might be having a question like why we selected MongoDB. So we wanted to have lightweight document database for the purpose of managing the OpenEdge resources, right? Not heavier, as heavier as maybe like OpenEdge database is like kind of overkill. So we have selected this MongoDB. At the same time, from the MongoDB, we were using the WebSocket communication that it provides, like similar to like Kafka messaging, right? So, it's not just a configuration database. We were also leveraging some of the messaging that MongoDB supports. So we support 3 varieties of MongoDB based on the needs of you. Like some of you might be like do not want to run a community version, right? So then you could go to enterprise version of MongoDB, and then so those who are deploying in cloud, you could use the cloud Atlas, right? So Atlas is a cloud version of MongoDB that's available on popular clouds. Again, agent is a lightweight agent. The install binaries, I think the artifacts I told you already, we have out-of-the-box installers that are made available for you for the Windows and Linux. For easier deployment, we were also supporting tar and zip of OpenEdge Command Center as well. So on the right-hand side, I will focus on quickly some of the highlights of OpenEdge Command Center 1.3 release that's out there today. It's modern, intuitive interface. You could access it from many devices like iPad, right, and tablet devices from the browsers. Load balancing is supported using Nginx or any HTTPD load balancer. Even in the cloud load balancers, you could have like multiple OECC servers can be run on different nodes and have the high availability, right? So the agents are lightweight and they help in discovering resources, right? So from a system admin persona perspective, we understand that adding each and every PASOE instance and its details and also database information, it's cumbersome, right? So the agent, when it runs on a server where you have multiple databases or multiple PASOE servers, it discovers all of them for you, and you just need to label them. Labeling is a new feature that we introduced. I will demonstrate that in my demo. You could label them. They were like UAT instances, production instances, or whatever you want. And by label, you could filter and manage the resources very well. The last and but not least, related to bring your own best in choice APM tools, right? APM stands for Application Performance Monitoring Tools. So it's an open telemetry initiative. The distributed tracing is available in OpenEdge 12.8 platform because the tracing requires deep rooted into platform, the AVM, and from the ABL clients that you run, and then like the servers, right? But then the metrics, right? So metrics is something that we could make it available through OECC. So if you are running OECC 1.2 or like 1.3, you have the OpenTelemetry standard metrics that could be exposed and also fed into the APM tools, right? And you could establish trends and monitor. Okay, so the demo, I'm going to demonstrate self-service dashboard and user management. Not particularly, I'm not focusing on user management, but then PASOE management, what we have today, and database management. Database management, very minimal that we have. I think those customers who already tried OpenEdge Command Center, you might be already knowing. I would like to know before getting into the demo, right? How many of you already started deploying OpenEdge Command Center? Like, any experiences? Okay. Okay, so you are not successful in setting up the server, right? Server platform.
It was hard to set up the server because I believe there's some bug on Windows, that is. So it was impossible to install it.
Okay.
Because something was wrong with the username and password, and it was impossible to reset the password. Because it was a bug in the utility. But when I fixed some of the code in that, I was able to actually get it up and running. But all I got from it was basically a line saying I had one pass instance and it's free, and that's about it. And that's where it's gone.
Okay, fine. Yeah. Maybe like towards the end of this session, I would like to know the details, more details on this one, right? Yeah, please keep your questions till the end. I have a packet demo that I would like to demonstrate. And also we have OpenAPI standards REST API. So let me switch to the demo. So on my laptop, I have OpenEdge Command Center server running with MongoDB that I installed. And this is the login page. By default, OpenEdge Command Center runs on 8000 port, right? We have chosen this port to not to conflict with other default ports or registered ports that other servers in OpenEdge platform runs. So the login I have set is admin. So you will be landed into, once you successfully log in, right? So into the dashboard. And this particular video should be helpful to you for the first time system admins, right? Telling all the steps required. But then essentially on the right-hand side, you have agent keys, right? And these keys are required to set up agents, right? The agents, maybe like if you don't want to confuse with PASOE agents, this is like OpenEdge Command Center agents. The Command Center agents requires the keys, right? So, and the keys are generated from the server. So that's how when agent tries to connect to the server knows that it's like a trusted agent is talking to the server, right? So that's how it is more secure communication between agents and OECC server. Now, initial things that for the first time you might require to set up email settings as well. So so those email settings that I have set up already here. And for what purpose we use the email settings today in OpenEdge Command Center. In future, we want to use notifications management purpose. But for now, the email settings is mainly you configure an email server and register as a user so that you could do your user management. Currently, the users that we have in OpenEdge Command Center are system admins, right? So whoever installs the server is a super administrator. And the rest of them, all of the users are the system admins, right? So they could do anything that they want to, whatever is offered here for the administration of PASOE and database today. But then eventually, like we wanted to introduce role-based access for these. Now, if I go back to the expand this menu that you have, so you have command center agents here. If you look at here, like there are no agents available here. And these are the OpenEdge databases, no records available. And PASOE instances, all the application servers, there is no data. Obviously, the ABIL applications won't be available. And if you look at, go to dashboard, like no discovered resources are available here. So on the menus, quickly you have notifications, history of notifications that based on the operations that you do. And you have some of the documentation and reference links. And you have this section help, right? This is a context-sensitive help. I think whoever is using OpenEdge Explorer, most of the customers, I think they told you are not providing context-sensitive help in OpenEdge Explorer. There were like around 20 to 60 configuration parameters, and which parameter is for what, and what are the accepted values, min and max values. All this information is upfront not available. So that's the feedback that we got. That's why we made, since beginning, it will be a context-sensitive help. So other than that, this is kind of password reset and other stuff that you have, which is obvious. So I'm going to one of the VM machine where I have OpenEdge 12.8.3, and let me see, maximize this. I have the OECC agent I'm launching right now. It will take just a couple of minutes to install the agent, and the agent needs JDK environment, JDK 11 that's supported. Why is JDK 11? It's a Spring Boot application. It's designed to be lightweight. No ports are required, right? So if you compare this with admin server requires 4 ports, but then the agent doesn't need any port, right? So, but it needs certain information at the startup related to OpenEdge Command Center server, right? Obviously, when the agent starts up, right, so it tries to connect to the OpenEdge Command Center server. And that information you need to provide during installation process. So the installer is designed to be install anywhere technology, and accept this EULA. And now you have default agent location is C:progress on Windows. And it detected the JDK 11 on my system, on this virtual machine. And then it is asking for agent key, right? So these agent keys are generated from server. So I have a bunch of keys that are generated. So you might be having a question like, do I need to have for my 20 agents, 20 different agents on running each and every server? Do I need to use different keys? No, not required. So you generate one key and then remember that key and use that key at the time of configuration, right? So the key can be downloaded, and once you download it in the format of JSON file, on this system I have the key that is downloaded already. I'm actually choosing that key. Let me okay, it is in C drive. This is the key that I have. I'm opening this key, and it populates all the fields for you, right? So you could also set up agent in SSL mode, like you could enable TLS for the agent for more security. For now, I think up to 1.3 we support both HTTP and HTTPS. So I'm not selecting that at present. So let me check if the IP address is same on my machine, because I connected again here, coming to this room. Okay. Just a minute. I think I need to check on my local system where the server is running. Sorry. So this is 10.65.32. 65.32, it is same. So let's move on. And yeah, so what is the significance of these two directories? I think, as I mentioned, like one agent is sufficient for managing 12.2 and also 12.8 resources. So you could provide, I think, the 12.2 and also 12.8 instances and get into the configuration file and update if in future like 13.0 is available, right? So you could manage more than one environment. So for now, I have only one environment currently. Moving to the next and then clicking on install, right? So this installation takes a couple of minutes. Meanwhile, I would like to open its OpenAPI interface, Swagger UI. OpenAPI. So this is the Swagger UI that how you could access, right? It runs by supplying the port and OpenAPI interface. And whatever operations that you could perform from OpenEdge Command Center user interface, all those operations are exposed in a standard APIs, right? That you could access from here. Let me see if the installation got completed. Yes, this installation is completed. And you click on done. So go back to the Command Center UI and see the agents. Now you see that the agent is offline currently. It's restarting at present. I think it will take maybe 30 seconds. Once it restarted successfully and running, you see that momentarily those resources are discovered, right? So just now you saw that all these resources are discovered as soon as this particular agent on OpenEdge 12.8 is running, right? So you might be having this, I think we have a different notation for these are PASOE instances. This is OpenEdge Database that is running on that 12.8 virtual machine, right? Now, if you go back to OpenEdge Databases, it will show the Fathom database that is currently discovered, right? So this little thing indicates that it needs some additional information to connect to the database so that it will connect. And then you could do only few operations, that is start, stop at present. And we were working for 1.4 release. I will cover more in the upcoming slides. The PASOE instances that you have that agent discovered, these instances were running right now, and all are of 12.8.3, right? Which version of these? And what's the security model of PASOE instance? It will show developer or production. And we have pulled down columns here, like some of the system admins, they would like to know, okay, what is the IP address and also which OpenEdge installation it is. So you could enable some of these columns, and these columns will be populated again. We were not storing this information of like user customization, right? So as a system admin, I added one column right now. This is not preserved right now. This will go away if I switch the screens, right? If I go to the ABL application view, so this view is essentially designed to have a single pane of glass view, where in your environment you have dev, test, and also production environments. All the ABL applications that you want to see, you could see the applications. These are all, the first column is ABL application name. These are all PASOE instances, right? The PASOE servers, and on which agent they are running, right? As a system admin, you know the agent. By default, the agent is representing, the agent name represents the host name. You could change the agent name as well, right? So some of the other aspects of, let me see. So it shows, the middle pane shows the web apps, and each web app having services, right? So web services deployment, we haven't supported right now in the current release. What we support is the REST services deployment currently. So that's how like the default ping service is discovered here. If you go to this PASOE inst2, the instance, so you have root and this one. Let me go back. Let me see sports application you have. So in the middle, it shows the web apps, and then from each web app, so what services that are deployed, right, and their state. Now I'm going back to PASOE instances. If you select one of the instance, and in the bottom pane, this is a different view, a list view we call, and these are flexible. You could drag and drop, and then you have the ABL applications. It's the same view, but then it is per instance view, right? So per instance, you want to see like what ABL apps are there. You select one of the ABL app, and then you're seeing here the transports. All green means they indicate that they're all enabled, right? So this is anyway developer instance, right? Whenever you deploy PASOE server, developer server, all the transports are enabled, but in production, it's not enabled, right? So by default, they will be disabled for security reasons. If it's, for example, this one, OAuth server, you see here, all of the transports are disabled. So they're indicated here. So let me quickly think. The other things that I would like to show is, for example, you want to see the process details. Any running PASOE instance, you could check the CPU and memory consumption. This is on demand that you could check and monitor. This is very basic monitoring that we provide. Similarly, you could multi-select these PASOE instances, and then you could take actions, right, that you want to do. And then, like, I'm not going to do right now this operation, but then this will alert you that, okay, you are doing some impactful operation. So it will alert you to type in stop here. Then only these action buttons will be enabled, right? So I'm not doing it right now. Let me go back and then see PASOE instances and the other operations, right? So let me create a new instance here. Before that, I would like to know from these instances what ports they are running, so that I don't want to give the port that is already used. It's running in 9511. Yeah, let me say this. So this is a section help where I told you like this will give you the context sensitive help related to each and every property. What this property means that you could view here as system admin. So moving to the instance, I'm just checking. Okay, let me go and create the PASOE instance, new instance name. So PASOE inst5 OpenEdge installation. So this indicates currently I have only one agent, and that agent name is here, and then what version it is running, you could select that. And do you want to create a production or a developer instance, you could tell. And labels, right? So for example, this is my developer instance, right? So so this is the label that you are creating, and you could say that this is my so-and-so region, and you could select that way. Instance directory, it will create in default directory if you don't give anything. So if I select 9610 is HTTP port, 9611, sorry, 9611, and also shutdown port 9612, login details, default Tomcat. So you have a couple of options here, like deploy the manager application that could be used for start-stop operations internally. And you want to start the PASOE instance once it is created, right? So you go and create the instance. And you see here the instance is creating, and in the pull down menu, you also look at the instance creation has been initiated, like 1 of 2 jobs is in progress. Because it is on Windows machine, Windows server, the PASOE instance is creating. It will take some time. So let me move on with other use cases that I would like to demonstrate. So for now, if I go back to PASOE agent, only one agent. The agent version is shown here is 1.3.0, right? And I have other 2 VMs, another 2 VMs that has OpenEdge 12.2.16, which is latest GA release that's available. The agent is already installed on this machine. And let me check, 65.32 is the OECC server IP address, right? And also, what is this file that I am touching, right? So this is serverinfo.json file, and this JSON file is available at the OECC agent installation directory. And we made the organization of this, I think, folder structure also meaningful. So if you get into the conf directory, you will have a couple of configuration files. The other configuration files are for the OpenTelemetry metrics that OECC supports. So the server info file is here. So make sure that this is the server IP address is correct here. But why you need to touch even this configuration file, right? So we don't expect when you are installing the agent, right, for the first time, at that time you provide the right IP address of the server, OECC server, where it is running. So it will pick it up from there. And now I am starting this particular agent. Similarly, I have another 12.2.16 VM machine, another machine. Let me also check. I think the IP is already updated. I'm quickly starting this agent as well. OpenEdge Command Center agent. Okay. Let's go back to, here. So on couple of machines, I have started 2 agents, right? So these 2 agents, when initially contacts OECC server, they were in offline, right? And became running. When they became running, you see that the resources were discovered here, right? This list grows up, and right. So what is that? It is showing the agent started, and then as soon as the agent started, the agent discovered PASOE instances and databases running there. So if you go back to, for instance, OpenEdge Databases, right? So now you could see like more databases that are available here that are shown. And for example, retail DB, this one is not having enough information. So the password, as I know, I'm just confirming the password so that you could save the password. Then you could start. So very minimal operation that we have here. So I'm switching to PASOE instances currently. So you see here the PASOE instance file that I created earlier. So the PASOE instance is created, but then in the checkboxes we selected that when you create instance, you also start the instance, right? So currently it is in starting phase, starting the PASOE instance. But then it got failed, right? So when it got failed, it will also show you in the notifications like the instance startup is failed, right here. And starting the PASOE 5 instance is failed, and it will show you some additional information like why it got failed, right? Some of this. Even I don't know. I think on one of the system I have some issues with the PASOE server. I think whenever I clean up logs folder and then again start from OECC, it is starting. We were reviewing this. But then the notifications will provide you all that information, right? Similarly, let me go back and stop the 12.8 instance. So I'm stopping this agent for 12.8. Now if you go to the agents, this particular agent is offline, right? So from the agents list view page, purposefully we won't provided any stop operation here because we want these agents, right, coexist with the servers, right, the app server and database, and then they should be up and running always, all the time, right? So so that's why I think I went to there and stopped it, and it is offline. But then you can unregister this agent, right? So the moment you unregister, what happens is, so once you unregister this agent, maybe like at what time you use this operation, right? As a system admin from my dev environment, right? Initially I deployed agents to manage certain setups and resources, and then later it's no longer required. At that time you could unregister this one, the agents. That will clean up all the resources that particular agent manages, right? So right now you're seeing here no OpenEdge 12.8.3, right? 12.8.3, no OpenEdge resource is available here, right? From PASOE instances, even from the databases perspective, you have only 12 to 16 currently, right? Moving to the next operation that we have within this, for example, in 12 to 16, I have customer orders and order management PASOE instances. And for the load balance setup of PASOE, right, what I need is I need identical applications running on both the PASOE instances, right, in order to set up a PASOE instance. So we have introduced a clone operation for the PASOE servers. So what does the clone will do? Like I have two different machines here, VM machines. This one has order management PASOE instance. I wanted to create another clone of this on another server, right? So I want to set up a high availability or a load balancing setup for PASOE. So in order to do that, I could select this one, and now I could select a clone operation. So it has warning, as if like, okay, you did something wrong. No, there is nothing that incorrect that was did. But then the clone operation, what we support today, right, it supports, there is a PASOE instance, and within the PASOE instance, say you have applications deployed, and those applications has pro path defined in outside of instance, right? You might be having certain folders outside of instance, most of the cases, or in some cases. But then the clone operation actually clones only within the instance, right? Because we don't know on the remote system if you have any pro path pointing to outside of that PASOE instance directory. So that's why we were alerting, saying that if you have any such folders after the clone operation, you need to like copy those folders and files required on the remote system where the PASOE instance is cloned. So that's what the message here. And order management, and this calculated the instance size, right? So the overall instance is 3.6 MB megabytes, and by default it's giving the label just to indicate that it is cloning on the so-and-so machine. And destination, so I'm selecting the other server with 12 to 16. And one more point, in the list currently, it is listing only 12 to 16, right? So you could clone only the same version of PASOE instances, right? So even that is a rule from PAS for OpenEdge server also. The PASOE server expects both the servers are identical from the same version, and they should have same applications, ABL applications with the same name running on both the machines, right? So that's why this filter takes care of listing only those. And then like if you don't know, on the remote machine there is already some instance running with the same name, Then you could also select overwrite, right? Overwrite that instance, and then you start the PASOE instance, right? So now hit the clone PASOE instance. Now this operation is submitted, and these notifications are instant, quickly comes and goes, disappears later. But then the pull down menu, you could see like whatever operations that are submitted, right? So one of 3 jobs currently in progress. You could see here the cloning process is started. So what it will do is the cloning is actually takes the creates a zip artifact on the source machine of the PASOE instance, and then transfers that into the destination machine, right, where the agent is there helping in this clone operation. Now copying this whole instance to the remote system, and also from there untearing, unzipping, and also starting the instance on the remote machine takes some time. So with the interest of time, I'm moving to the other areas. Let me go to the API view that I told. Yeah, so OpenAPI standards REST API, what we offer. Whatever operations I showed you, demonstrated right now, everything you could do using the API, right? And but for this demo purpose, I need to authorize and login. So there is a login API that's available. Post, try it out, and let me give the server login credentials, OECC server login credentials, admin, and progress 1 to 3, execute. Now you got 200 OK response with the key that you need to supply. So you need to, I'm just copying this key for authorization. Going up and authorize, supply this key generated, authorize, and then it is authorized. Close this window. You see this lock is in, earlier it is lock open. That means you successfully authorized and logged in from this Swagger UI. And I have a couple of agents right now that are running. So for quicker and easier purpose, I could try out what agents that were running. And you see here, let me execute this. You see here in the response body, I have those couple of agents with their GUID has been represented here, those couple of agents. So like that, you have all the operations. I think from the PASOE server side, you have creating the instances and managing the instances, like delete operations of the instances, and from databases, even from AB Labs, the application deployment and REST services deployment, all of these operations were available. So this would help you in your application integration use cases, right, where you wanted to leverage these APIs. Let me see if still the operation is going on. So it will take time. So I'm switching to my presentation where I left. Let me. Okay. So OECC agent deployment for OpenTelemetry metrics, right? So on the left-hand side box, you are seeing that you have your database server, you have your PASOE server. Wherever you want the hotel metrics to be pulled out, you need to deploy agent there. And then you need a collector, right? So this is OpenTelemetry collector. And from the OpenTelemetry portal, I think wherever the contribution of these collectors are there, you could download the generic collector that's available. It's open source, and then deploy this collector either where the agent is exist or a different machine, and configure the information like that is required in order to get the metrics to the collector, and from collector it sends it to all the APMs, right? So you could choose like your choice of APM right now. So in the initial version of um, metrics, what we support from database perspective, so some of the read activities, write activities on the database, AI activity, BI activity, buffer activity, and record activities, these sort of metrics that we support right now. We know that these metrics are not sufficient, and these are like bare minimum to start. We want requesting you to use the product and also tell us like what are most important metrics that are required. Otherwise, we already have a plan, and you already provided, some of you already provided inputs through CVP about some of the important metrics that are missing, and you need them, right? So we were tracking them as part of our product backlog currently. On the right-hand side, I'm showing like all the runtime metrics that we have is PASOE agent metrics for AB Labs, and some of the request and session connection metrics, and all the transport-related metrics, right? So those could be like, yeah. So this is a list of all metrics from the database perspective. On the right-hand side, I'm sorry, it's not visible, but I tried fitting this into one particular slide. Right-hand side, all the transport-related metrics, right? So for your application, there were requests, and those requests are taking longer time. They were in queue. So what are the wait times, and all those things we could monitor. So this is a snapshot of from New Relic, like how the database metrics looks like. Like some of the DB read activities. So I think if on your system, if there are more write activities going on database, if it is consuming more CPU because of write activity, you wanted to know, then you could monitor establish some of the trends and monitor that one, right? So this is PASOE related metrics. Okay, so I would like to cover standard best practices. As I mentioned you at the time of installing OpenEdge Command Center agent, I have not selected purposefully secure agent, right? Which will allow you to configure TLS. So it needs certificates to configure, and it's easier right now in 1.3 to set up an agent very quickly. But in production environments, when you are deploying OpenEdge Command Center, we expect you to configure TLS. So that's our recommendation. In addition to that, some of the best practices that you could follow is like, first thing is enable TLS and configure the firewalls required for like in general, for any of your web applications that you want to have a firewall, you set up that one, and REST APIs and all, when you are access them through HTTPS, right? So patch levels, make sure that just like any other software that you update and make it current, right? Ensure that it is up to date. And the password policies have the strict lifecycle, strict password, strong policies applied. The strong passwords are applied. OECC by default enforces that. Similarly, the agent keys, right, protect them in the JSON file, right? They were plain text right now available, but then at the time of generating keys, the system admin need to preserve the key, right? So at that time, you make sure that you encrypt that. And no access is another role that we gave. Like in your organization, anyone leaves the organization, you still want to keep the data related to that persona, what they did. You could manage that information by assigning no access role from OECC. Is part of user management that we provide by default. And the last one, but not least, like as you set up, continue to set up monitoring on the OECC logs, and also in the MongoDB, which is a configuration database, right? You have audit table. This table has information related to who the user, like for example, in last 1 week, the PASOE instances, who created or who stopped certain services at certain time. So all these admin related activities are audited and tracked within the MongoDB database. So beyond 1.3, what we have, right? So from the last 2 years surveys, thank you so much for all the input that you provided. So we have identified a list of items and prioritized them based on like how you ranked. And this is about PASOE related features, and some of them that our development teams are working on. And this is related to database management features. And yeah, this is a known slide for you, as I'm going to discuss about the roadmap, and these are still our plan, not any commitment, right? Just want to remind you on that. Foundational database management capabilities is our focus, and we were working on them. In the upcoming release, we'll be incrementally delivering those. Advanced database management capabilities, for instance, DDM admin UI. There's a session happened today, right? DDM, dynamic data masking 5 whys session from Progress. And we wanted to have, we have the user mockups and everything finalized. We wanted to deliver that through OECC, and also other advanced database management capabilities. And PASOE related monitoring, the ABL session, and also PASOE agent, any long running requests that you could able to monitor. And some of the advanced security related setups, right? Exposing a user interface for you to configure. Security and user management is still a focus from OECC perspective. So we'll be enhancing, we'll be introducing role-based access control for OECC application itself. As I mentioned already, more metrics are required, and we know that. And please tell us like what is the most important, so that we'll focus on them, right? There were hundreds of metrics today that are available, right? Automated updates for OpenEdge. Before even managing this, we want to make sure OpenEdge Command Center server is able to deploy and automate its agents, right, first. And then we will extend that to the OpenEdge deployments. So these are some of the futuristic items that we have. So this will just show the releases that we did so far. And the upcoming release, we were targeting next year, Q1. It has a bunch of capabilities that we focused, and with enhanced security. The upcoming release for OECC 1.4, it would contain ability to view database users and roles, database schema visibility. Some of you who are already in CVP, you will be having access to the demos that engineering team delivered to get the taste of these features. OpenEdge Archive is one of the packaging artifact in PASOE today. So you can deploy ABL applications using this. So there's a plan to support this, and this is in progress. OECC install user experience. Just now, I think one of our customer sitting in the back told like MongoDB setup, right, is a problem. So we know that MongoDB is not your expertise. You know OpenEdge database. So we want to provide default installation where you don't need to give any input to the install, but then it will provide you all the information related to where it installed, what MongoDB version it downloaded, and what are the various parameters that it set, so that as a system admin, you know like what servers are set up, right, at the end of the installation. But then it will be only like a quick install setup for you. Right? You simply need to select default and then go ahead, right, install. So today the server installation takes around 5 minutes. Maybe it will take a little bit more, like maybe around 8 minutes or 10 minutes, not sure. So ABL web applications, starting and stopping and reloading the apps, it's not supported today. We want to provide for ABL apps, right? And similarly, the metrics we wanted to standardize with the right naming conventions. And these are all other capabilities. These are all bunch of resources that would be useful for you when you want to work with OpenEdge Command Center. All right. Yeah, news you could use here. Please scan this one, and also we have a progress booth outside. our marketing team has this for you. There are a list of 6 different items. In the top, we have most important one, OpenEdge annual survey, and the survey is live. We request you to take time because you already took time to come here. We request you to spend that 5 to 10 minutes and provide us your valuable feedback, right? And then even tell us right now if the survey, how it is organized, you have any comments and feedback, that would be very helpful for us, right? So we have Rob and our PM team available here for next 2 days. So please talk to us and please submit the survey with your valuable feedback. I'm sorry, I want to make sure that the demo is given here in this session. So it took a bit more time, hoping that this session is useful. And if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm available next 2 days also. We can discuss on some of the problems that you faced. And we want you to deploy this complementary tooling that we supply and then use it for managing PASOE instances today in 1.3 release. In the upcoming release, we'll be having additional enhancements that I showed you. Again, like we were working on it and nothing is a promise, but then we were trying our best to deliver the solution to you that's most useful, right? Thank you.